listening to the Medic Materials Podcast, hosted by Mike Turek, Emily Yates, Kelsey Coons, and Gerard Cuomo. Each month, we discuss EMS news, medical science, and review actual EMS calls, bringing many educational opportunities to the listener. Portions of the calls have been altered to protect the privacy and identity of all involved.
Hello and welcome everyone back to the Medic Materials Podcast. I am excited to say that we are on video for the first time in the free show. So welcome to Emily and Gerard. How are you guys?
Oh, I mean Obi-Wan? Yeah.
Obi-Wan?
I'm doing okay. How's Obi-Wan doing?
You know, she's got a little bit of Obi-Wan. She's got a little bit of Princess Leia with the big Smurf
with the
fluff ears. Yeah, we got the Force flowing through us tonight. But yeah, no, it's one of the things that you and I were talking about, Gerard, that the Patreons get, the video version of the podcast, and that has worked out, really well. But at the same point, we wanted to continue to grow the audience, continue to grow the community around this show, since it's now well over 17,000 total downloads. It's in, a numerous amount of countries and states, across this country, across the world. And you were like, you know what? Let's make it all video. We're in the 21st century. Why not?
Fuck it.
And
Rude.
exactly. Fuck it. The only one who disagrees is Emily, but whatever. We don't care.
This is how I show up to them.
But that's fine.
With my closet full. Nobody wants to see my closet.
Yeah, but
Everybody wants to see your closet.
But the nice part about it is that
There's somebody on the other side of the world that has a closet cluttered fetish.
I'm sure
That's really enjoying what you're showing him right now.
Then pay me.
Except for, Emily's OnlyFans. Sign up in the description below.
There you go.
Please.
No, so the only problem with this, Em, is the way I'm recording, you can't actually see your closet. So you're welcome.
Oh, good. Because it's so.
Oh, I just
cluttered,
realized
it
she
won't
does
shut.
have the Princess Leia thing going.
Doesn't she?
Those,
Right?
those headphones look like the
Yes.
Right?
the earmuffs.
That's exactly
The
what I
hair.
was saying. So today we're going to be doing a discussion, and we're going to be talking about another, like, Gerard's just on a roll of great ideas lately. And one of the things that you had mentioned in just, text message between you and I one night was, why aren't we talking and having discussion episodes based off of like one patient population? So like geriatrics, kidneys, kidney renal patients, pediatrics, and I think that we should. And I think one of the ones that caught my eye right off the rip was pediatrics. So we're going to start with a discussion about peds. And then whenever we actually do decide to do the renal episode, I'm just going to mute my microphone and let Emily just give a dissertation the entire hour, because
I love kidneys.
none of us will ever know as much as Emily will. So,
Oh, that's not true.
I'm pretty sure I don't.
I love kidneys.
But before we get going, we always have the rig check here, and as we stated, this is going to be a video podcast going forward. The biggest change is starting on March 15th. So our next episode, all of these are now going to be live. So we're going to live stream these events. They're going to be, held on the day. We haven't knocked down a time yet, but we will by the time that the 15th rolls around. For those that, still use like regular podcast apps and everything like that to listen in your car or on the go, none of that's changing. I'm still putting the MP3s out to all of the podcast networks. So if you want to just join the live stream and join the chat and, have fun along with us, you're more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, the show for you does not change whatsoever. The big thing is we are pushing our Discord right now. So The big,
Chisel.
right, the big push is to create a medic materials community around this brand and around this show and the stuff that we do on, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that. And as Gerard put it, the, center of the wheel with the spokes coming out is our Discord. So if you want to be in our Discord community, the link is in the description and the show notes below. Check that out, as well as the CME Academy. Remember that we launched the CME Academy last month. If you want to listen to this show or last week's show or, any other podcast that we've ever done, you can hop on to the CME Academy and you can listen to us on the go and get an hour of CME credit. So like today, you listen to us on the CME Academy, you get 1 hour of pediatric CMEs. I mean, how much better is that? I have officially shook up the Patreon page. We used to have a $2, a $5, and a $7 tier. I've knocked that down to one tier, the Donuts tier, for $5 a month. And in there, you're still getting the Patreon episode for, the podcast, that third Patreon only podcast. You're still getting the end of tour, or not the end of tour. That's our Friday night live stream. The new episode live stream with Gerard and I.
Which we have to do one.
I know we
haven't done one in a while.
do. We do have to do one. You get special access to different things, Patreon only sections of the Discord where only Patreons can get in and interact in a smaller community with like Gerard, me, Emily, Butch, Phil. And then
I'm on Discord all the fucking time.
I know your meme page blew up. There is.
I know.
I put a page specifically in just for Gerard for memes.
Day one, baby.
I know. And the biggest thing is if you're a Patreon subscriber to that Donuts tier, you will get every other month. I'm gonna send you a promo code that gives you 1 free hour of CMEs via the CME Academy. So
Very cool.
It is
Shit.
totally worth it.
I'm gonna sign up.
There we go. Gerard just signed
No,
up.
for real.
I gotta restart soon.
I know,
Right?
right? And of course, our shout outs go out to North Dakota and Germany this month. So, guys, in getting started with the peds kind of topic and thought process going through here, I think one of the biggest, most scariest things that a lot of providers have issue with is interacting with a kid. I think that's where I want to start, because being that I'm the only parent on the panel here, I feel like I went through a change. And I think a lot of people say this is like,
First pet rebel, will you?
He's scratching. All right, he's scratching under the. Are you?
I can hear him.
I know you're good. Yeah.
Leave the
guy.
poor boy alone.
Right? Give him some attention.
I know, right? I put his bed behind me, so he just needs to go lay down. He wants me to scratch his butt right now.
Yeah, there you go. Priorities.
Butt scratcher, butt
Butt
scratcher.
scratcher. Butt scratcher. Butt scratcher.
So
Pepper Cooper up.
sorry. So yeah, I think there is a definite change that providers go through when they become parents or guardians of kids and stuff like that. And I never realized this until it actually happened. Like, I was just like everybody else out there that's like, oh my God, a ped. How do I talk to this little alien person? Like, we have nothing in common. I was never a ped or a kid. That I have no idea what to say to them. And then you get to be a parent or a guardian or whatever, and you're instantly know how to deal with these people. Like that switch is flipped where now you are comfortable in dealing and handling and talking and interacting with these kids. And I think that's the first thing that I kind of wanted to talk about in today's show, was just how I go about interacting with these kids. And it's like, it really isn't hard, right? Like, a lot of times I sit there and I always make sure that, the parent or guardian's involved, but also that, hey, do you have everything that the kid needs? Like, do they have a safety blankie? Do they have like my youngest, he drags his pillow. Like his Nana made him a homemade pillow. Kid takes it everywhere, right? That's like his safety thing. He takes on trips. He takes to nanny's house. He takes it everywhere. Do they have a favorite toy? Do they have a snuggle? Do they, a stuffed animal or whatever? And get that, because that's going to be their security item. I always make sure that that's, there with them. That at least breaks the ice for me. Is there anything that you guys kind of do to like break that ice?
Yeah, I always try to, keep them inside of, as much of their comfort zone as possible. Mom, always have mom involved if you can.
Yeah.
Dad's, okay. But
if dad's the only
it
one,
doesn't matter what they are. They all want mom. You know what I mean?
That is true. Unless mom's not in the picture and dad's the only one there. And then, then it's dad.
Well, kid, you just take what you can get,
You're not good enough to have a mom.
Right. Drop and give me 20. Wait, what? I'm only 3.
But no, I
do that. Definitely, don't separate them from mom or dad, or whichever parent is there. Definitely keep them, visible at all times if you can. Before you go and do anything, more invasive or, that might be a little on the scary side, always, tell mom what you're going to do. And then, tell the parents, hey, this is what I need from you. We got to keep the kid, calm and everything. And they know how to talk to the kid. They'll talk the kid through it, because I don't know their kid. I can do kid voice and I can think like a child. I do most of the time, about 90% of the day. But, when it comes to individual kids, mom and dad know them better than I do. So let them basically be my conduit to the kid.
Yeah. What about you, Em?
I also think you have to be careful, like, how you talk to the parents. In healthcare, they're always like, "Oh, kids suck," but it's not the kids that suck, it's really the parents. And, like, you have to think of them as a duo. So, if you don't think that kids pick up when you're snapping at their parents, they're 100% gonna pick up on that. So, like, just be mindful of how you speak to their parents.
Yeah.
That's
I've never had a problem where I've had a parent, where I've made a parent feel uncomfortable or want to stop,
Right.
even when they're freaking out, there's something wrong with the kid, and
Right, and you have to
my
remember,
kid's
like, this
unconscious
is
and shit like that.
100% right, and this is the scariest time of their life. Like, their kid is sick or injured or whatever, so they have every right to freak out, and it doesn't make your job any easier, but you have to be careful how you talk to the parent.
Yeah, I do. I tell them straight. I said, look, ask them the questions, get what I need to get, and then before I start doing things, I'll tell them. I said, look, I'm going to work hard. We're going to get, I'm going to make the kid
Right.
get better.
Reassure them, like,
But
I'm here to help.
Right. I'm going to need your help too.
Exactly.
You're part of the loop. So.
And I think that's a really excellent way of putting it, Em, is that they are a duo, right? Like that is a tag team, more or less, that you're walking into. It's not just like you versus the kid. It's you versus in because this is more or less a half wrestling podcast. You are now going into a handicap match. It's you against them, and you're trying to get, this kid better. And a lot of times, we scoff at the parents because they might have, first mom time, first time mom syndrome. Oh, this kid's completely fine. But at the same point, if a kid does choke on something or seem like they're having some respiratory distress and freak mom or dad out, that is really scary. It's really, really scary,
And it is funny when you can really see a stark contrast between, first time mom or dad or mom and dad. and like second, third, or fourth, because like by the second, third one, they're just like, the kid's
Whatever.
broken. Do what you got to do.
It's so
I
true.
got stuff on stove. Let me know what you're gonna do.
But it is again. So coming from the parent perspective, I couldn't agree with that more, because like I remember and it's kid dependent too. So like, my oldest is very, he's very like not like strict or stern, but he's a very serious kid. Like he can, giggle and laugh and have fun, but he wants order and, like calm and stuff like that. And, I could totally remember when he got sick, he woke up one night in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning with, this asthma-like attack and like a croupy cough. And I look at him and, he's like, and he's, sucking wind. And I'm just like, oh shit. Like, this is like totally legit. And, he had, sternal retractions. He had, he had intercostal retractions. He had, what's the one that's here? I forget.
Okay.
Thank you. He had the tracheal tugging. Like, he was struggling, and you listen to him and he's wheezing throughout and stuff like that. We put him in the bathroom, warm water, steam up the bathroom, try and help him out that way until we could actually get him, bronchodilators and stuff like that. But I could totally remember my wife, being the 12-year veteran of a flight team, being like, oh my God. And me having to be the one who's like, all right, calm down. He's breathing. He's fine. We know what to do. You know what to do. It's okay. Right. And again, going back even further, before my youngest was born, Roman was, I don't know, maybe 2. And he was running with a pencil. Oh. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. And then he bit on the pencil and fell. And the pencil, of course, went right into the top of his, palate. And now he's just gushing blood out of his mouth. And again, Jess freaked the fuck out. Total new mom syndrome for about 5 minutes until she's like, oh, okay, this is fine. Like, this is easy.
I've seen worse.
I've totally seen worse. But even the best of us, like, here's this hardcore flight nurse that's still, oh, it's my own kids. All thought process goes right out the window. And, it can happen to anyone. We're all humans. So I think you have to take into effect, like, this is the kid who's sick, but it's really having a hard time, on the parents as well.
Yeah, it is. And one thing I was thinking about, and not to, I know there's whatever the various alphabet soup groups are out there. I don't know, not to offend anybody, but it has been my experience.
Alphabet soup, I love that.
Oh, there's so many of them. I don't know who's what anymore. I'm just like, I'm just going to talk. And if you get pissed off, well, too fucking bad. So I've noticed in my, humble experience, that the boys actually are a little bit harder to work with than the girls. The younger, the young female girls, as opposed to the young male girls. But the young females, like, yeah, they may be crying, and sometimes they get, they'll work into a little hysterical stuff. But as soon as you get calm them down and break through that, and like get them to start talking to you, you're good. You're golden, man. They're going to talk to you the rest of the way, and everything's good to go. Assuming they're actually in a condition to talk.
Right.
But oh my God, I mean, every time I get like a 4 or 5 year old boy, it's like, And fucking, and it's mommy all the way to the fucking hospital. You're just like, dude, come on, man, you know, nut up.
It is so true though. Like they
Right.
really do. And
You're just like, okay, my femur's broken.
right.
I'll take some more of that fentanyl if you got it.
But when can I go back in the game?
Right?
I know. I had one come off the other mountain down the way there over by that other state, you know, because we can't, you know, actually mention things. And it was like a 12, 13-year-old girl, and, you know, broke her femur mid shaft, you know, on the slope. And I'm driving the hour and change to the pediatric, you know, trauma center, and you know, we got orders for extra fentanyl for the trip, even though I had wanted to use morphine. But before I had gotten there, they had already started with fentanyl, and it kind of pissed me off. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I'm like, you know, 2 doses in, and we're having a nice little conversation, and she literally just. Now, when I first got there, she was freaking the fuck out. Started talking to her a little bit. Boom, all of a sudden we're having a conversation, and yeah, we're on the way. She's just like, "I'll take a little more of that fentanyl if you got it."
Please, bartender, I'll have a double
for you.
You'd never know this girl was in a traction splint. You'd have no idea.
That's too funny.
A boy, oh my god, you would believe me. You'd be like, "Let's just get a fucking helicopter and get him the fuck out of here."
It is true though. It is really funny how boys and girls do because I've seen that too, where you know, like, and you always get the kids that are more reserved than others, you know, like even, you know, there's been some, you know, the young girls that have been very reserved. There's been young boys that have been very reserved, and they're like, yeah, you know, they will interact with their parent and not me. And I'm like, all right, whatever, man. Like, that's fine. And then there's the chatty Cathys that you can't shut up, and you're just like, just go to sleep already. Like that's why we put you in ambulances, is so you'll fall asleep. And they won't, and that's fine. That's typically when, you know, I pull out my secret weapon and I'm like, hey, I have some movies downloaded on my phone.
Same.
Like, do you want to watch, like, you know, this cartoon or that cartoon, or like, hey mom, do they have a tablet you can give them? Because that, you know,
really?
Oh yeah. Like,
because I have unlimited streaming. I don't have to download. Yeah. I can pull up whatever they want.
Must be nice. Must be. Want your top hat?
Yes, I do.
But yeah, I mean, you know, there's definitely something to be said about all the techniques, you know, and realistically, when you're talking to the kid, you know, I talk to them like they are regular human beings. Like, I don't talk to them like, oh, does your yeah, like I don't do that. Like, you know, I dumb it down like, hey, you know, your mom says that your tummy hurts, or does your belly hurt, or, you know, things that they will understand. But I talk to them in a normal voice, you know. Right. I introduce myself. If I'm wearing a hat, I take it off. You know, if I'm wearing like a big coat, I take that off before I go into the scene. So I'm not like this big, burly, bulky dude, you know, because again, I don't want to scare them, you know, and
I get stripped butt naked and I would still have that effect on them. Yeah, so I don't have the luxury.
You're a scary motherfucker.
So bringing that up, I'm sure there are plenty of big scary motherfuckers out there that do what we do, that probably listen or watch. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, that is, you know it just as much as I do. That is one of the hardest things to get people to get over.
Yeah.
Or get past. When you show up on a scene and it's, you know, especially a kid, and you're just, you know, this big fucking dude, and, you know, mom's intimidated right off the bat, you know, the kid's intimidated, and it, you know, even on regular calls, you know, you just have that air of intimidation. Like, so, I mean, I'm not trying to be fucking sexist or anything, but if it's something involving, you know, a young child, especially a young female child, I try to get a female provider. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, can we, you know, do we have anyone that we know, you know, in the area that could come and give me a hand here?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be able to get through better than I will. And it's just not because I don't know how. It's just, I can't hide this.
Right. Right. And I think a lot of it, I've met plenty of female providers that are bigger bitches than the male counterparts. So I think, the caveat to that is if like, oh man, this provider, yeah, she's female and she's less intimidating than me, but she's a bitch. Yeah,
right. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
You got to know the person. It's not like I'm going to call a certain somebody we probably fucking know and be like, hey, you should come over here and fucking be a see you next Tuesday to this kid.
Right. Right. No, Em, how do they kind of go about it in the hospital? Like, I know pre-hospital, it's one thing, but like you guys see more pediatrics than we do in the ERs.
And we're really lucky because we're a really female-dominated field, which I think makes a difference. I also think that in general, like Gerard and I walk in a scene, and Gerard's intimidating just in his stature, and like I don't think you get that as much in the hospital. I think that when you go into the hospital, they have a different outlook on nurses, which is frustrating in and of itself. But I think it's the same kind of idea. Like, find the person that's most like a child and send them in, because they're going to be the ones that get that instant rapport. And then just kind of like cater to the child, like find somebody that has kids and I feel like back in the day, I handled kids a lot better than I did now, because now I'm older and I'm like, oh, I really liked this show when I was a kid. Well, that was 20 years ago. So like that show's not even around.
Right. They have what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So like my
Welcome to my world.
is not the same. So, growing up in EMS when I was
did you watch
the
A-Team last night?
Right, exactly. It was super cool because I felt like I could relate to younger generations where like the older I get, I'm just out of touch with it, not having kids. So I think you definitely like pull your resources. I think we have a lot more to pull from in a hospital. But you find like whoever really likes kids and send them in.
Yeah, I'll tell you
it's funny. I knew, and I know this, it doesn't, again, and this is like a reference that doesn't even ring true anymore today because I don't even know if it still exists or not, but like I knew, like I was no longer a young person when I wasn't watching MTV anymore. And it was like one day I turned it on and I was like,
what is the shit?
What the fuck is this? What? Fucking, click. And I never watched it again.
Yeah.
And then I ended up watching like VH1 and I'm like, oh, I'm getting old. And then even that fucking turned my stomach. I was like, I ain't watching that shit no more.
And then he turned it on to CMT and he became an adult.
No, never. You'll know when I have dementia if you catch me sitting in front of fucking TV watching CMT.
I don't even think CMT is a thing anymore.
No, it is. Don't worry.
Oh, it is? Okay. See,
See,
I'm out of the loop now. So
leave it on for my dog.
But that is, I mean, it really is it. It's you got to know, everything else. Know your resources. Know what you have at your disposal. If you're on shift and the other crew has a female that's really good with kids, and you've got a kid, hey, maybe we should get them to come over here and help us out. If not anything other than just to calm the kid down,
right?
So I can go do my job. Do stuff like that. But and the other thing I was thinking of when you're talking about the hospital setting versus out in the field. When you think about it, kids understand. You're in a hospital, and yes, it's kind of a scary place, but it's a hospital. They know what a hospital is for. They're there to help them. Make them feel better.
Right. There's cartoons out there that show them what a hospital is, what a doctor is, what nurses are.
Right.
There's nothing.
Nobody prepares them for the 6'2", 300-something-pound dude dressed in black with combat boots walking into their house.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Into their familiar setting and now upsetting the apple cart.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Maybe we should launch like a medic materials kids show narrated by Gerard.
God.
But when kids are growing up, they learn they learn that hospitals are there to help, and they read all these cartoony books that have these female cartoons in them as nurses, and like it's just expected. They know what they're getting into. They know that they trust us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
different. It's different in a hospital.
There's no way the medic materials children's network would ever fucking fly. Dude.
Oh, dude, it would be freaking hilarious.
Oh no, the credits would roll, the intro, and then you'd be like, "Hey, welcome. Hey, Gerard, what do you have to say to the kids?" Well, you know what?
Go fuck
mommy's
yourselves.
wrong. You're not special. You know,
So get the fuck up.
right? Suck it the fuck up.
Go
You
pound
know,
sand.
nobody cares about you. You know,
2 seconds in. Wah!
life is misery. You know.
Oh man. So I kind of want to transition off of this subject and go into something that I think, you know, kids calls are, you know, everyone always is amped for kids calls. And, you know, I think that's because of that halo effect, right? Kids are typically really sick when, you know, most of the time when we see, you know, bad kids, they're really sick kids. Like they could they could take a turn really, really easy. They're either fine or they're really sick. And
more fighter jets. Anyway, sorry.
Ooh, festive.
Yeah.
And
Surprised people don't hear them.
I think because we don't see peds all that often, I think that's what leads to that, oh man, now I got a kid, it's really sick. I haven't done this training in 5 years. I haven't had a paid patient in a year. Like, and now I'm amped and kind of scared. How do we approach that? And do you guys like have any thoughts and tips on like how to get over that kind of stuff?
Well, I think like two things to go with that is, you know, so yeah, there's most definitely that, you know, high acuity, low frequency stuff. But I mean, along with that, we, you know, as a whole, we really fucking just psych ourselves up in the wrong direction. It's like the Midas touch in reverse. You know, we freaking, you know, say some scary shit about peds, go, oh, I fucking hate kids. Hey, oh my God, oh my God. And the guys with kids are like, oh my God, it makes me think of my kids. I'm like, well, you know,
what
sucks to be you.
Yeah.
You know, but
what
there's that you know, there's that mentality going in, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, I got a 5-year-old drowning. God damn it. You know, now I'm already, you know, like fuck, right. You know, in holy shit mode. Meanwhile, if it was, you know, 40-year-old drowning, it's like, whatever. All right, Lucas, suction, you know, whatever.
Right.
You know, no big deal. I agree. It's same thing, only just it's just a little body, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, and the other thing would be, like you were saying, you know, kids, they get sick really quick. So what are the two peds calls we always get? It's either mom is freaking out because the kid has a fever, which is we show up and it's like, oh, yes, your child's febrile. This is what babies do. You know, calm the fuck down. Right. Here's a little Tylenol. Bye-bye.
Sign here, push hard, buy it later.
Right. Or it's, holy shit, this kid's going to fucking die, or they're already fucking, like, you know, really unconscious.
Close. Yeah, yep.
There's no in between. There's no, I'm getting there and they're like, well, you know, I'm starting to feel a little bad, and, you know, I'm getting a little weird feeling, you know. Or, you know, Johnny was looking a little off color, you know. No, we get there, and, well, Johnny's looks like a blueberry, you know. So, you know, that's when we get there. But right. But no, they never call us when Johnny first starts choking on something, or, you know, is first starting to get sick or something. You know what I mean? It's always either one extreme or the other.
Right. What about you, Em?
I agree. I think that there is a point that we psych ourselves up. I think it's typically, I mean, I agree with Gerard. I think you're on one spectrum or the other. It's either bullshit or this kid's dying. Right. But I think that it's a low frequency, high acuity situation. And I think that anytime, especially in EMS, that we're put in that, we've proven to fail. Look at intubations, look at, you know, like all these things. I think we need to train for it. I think that, you know, in New York State, 100% of your research can be online. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will not choose a pediatric CME to watch on your free time because you're like, oh, well, I did my whatever hours I needed, 2 hours.
You will if it's
a
medic material CME.
Damn skippy.
Wait, I'm just saying, like, oh, I'm never going to look at that again. I think you need to look at it differently. Be like, I don't want to be on scene with that sick kid and be like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm supposed to do because, oh man, I scrolled past that CME that I was supposed to do. So, I think that we need to train for it more.
So I'm going to interrupt just really quick and bring up that training aspect of it because this is where we fail as providers. It's not about the money in this case, Gerard. Granted, everything...
You said the T word. So I go like this.
Right. I get that. And every other time that we've ever talked about training, I would I would assume it would be we don't do it because they're lazy or it's about money.
This time it's not, though.
But then we talk about peds, right? And peds is a completely different factor, right? In EMT classes in New York State, and again, I'm just going off of experience in this state, right? I as a CIC cannot bring in my kids as patients and have.
You used to be able to.
You used to be able to.
And I mean, like in 2015, like not that long ago.
Right. So
yeah.
You are training. So when I'm doing a presentation, right, I do my hour or 2 hour long presentation on peds. Typically peds night is one whole 4 hour block.
Yep.
But whatever. So you do your 4 hour lecture on peds and then you say, okay, bye. Right. And they're
break off into labs and they walk in and he points to me and goes, there's your 4-year-old, you know.
Well, yeah.
Sick child.
Either
and I'm like, wow.
Right. You either make ridiculous things like that, right? Or these students, their first experience with an actual pediatric is with a call. Is on a call.
Why is that a thing?
Right? So, and I get it. You know, they went with the whole safety thing. Oh, well, we don't want the creepy fuckers touching the kids and this, that, the other thing. And I can get that. Like, I get it.
Oh, she fucked your box.
I just had to get another drink.
You don't fuck the box. You just walk away.
The box.
I just needed another drink, and you can't look at what's behind me.
We already saw what was behind you.
Now there's
I'm blocking it.
Now there's no. Now there's two of me. Well, now I'm not. Never mind. Anyhow,
relax. It was only a drink.
Yes, but it fucked the box.
You fucked the box.
You just put like a piece of cloth over it or something, or a sticky note.
Hey, next time I'll get the dog.
There you go.
What do you got, a fucking like weed farm growing behind you that we can't see?
It's like a whole dialysis center behind me.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a dialysis center.
Hence why you know so much about kidneys.
There we go.
So
everybody knows.
So yeah, I think that's where we really go wrong in that, like, you know, I don't think if I wanted to, I could take my youngest, right? I could take my 7-year-old to class and be like, okay, dude, you are going to have a blast. Here's what I want you to do. We're going to get you in makeup. We're going to bring your bike. We're going to put you at the bottom of this hill, and we're going to say that you have a broken leg. And all I want you to do is scream bloody murder. And he would do that happily as a clam. But
if I had my way, that would be definitely, you know, something that would have to be done. But, you know, especially in this day and age, you know, again, you never know where it's going to be. How wonderful, and I do mean wonderful, would it be to be able to get like 20 kids, moulage them up, put them all around in different places. Some are screaming, some ain't screaming.
Yeah.
Some are doing all kinds of other things, and they're all shot to pieces. Okay, you just arrived. What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because somebody came in and shot up the fucking school.
Right. Or a bus accident or something.
Or a bus accident or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But more to the point was, you know, this active shooter shit that, you know, seems to be fucking everywhere now. You know, they won't, God forbid we put somebody who actually knows what they're doing with a gun at a school, but that's a whole other fucking argument. But, you know, but yeah, I mean, you think about these guys that are, you know, showed up at Parkland or showed up in Coral Springs and stuff, you know, which is literally like I could see Coral Springs from where I grew up, and you know, they've never had anything like this. They've never seen anything like. They've never been exposed to anything like this. Mm-hmm. Oh, they had MCI training. Okay, so we put things in a manila envelope. Okay, what color is that? You got your little kit when you got out of your car. Okay, good. Bye. You're all trained up.
Right.
Have fun.
Yeah. No, it is legit. The fact that we are expected to treat pediatric patients, but are not able to train on said pediatric patients. So we're getting used to, hey, how do you?
Hey, hold on.
What
We
you
just got a
drinking?
plug for what was that?
Down east.
Down
All right, there we
Trevor
go.
and
Down
Austin, go
east.
see them. They were
All
awesome.
right.
But
Hit the ching.
oh, sorry. There you go.
All the revenue we would have
There
had.
you
Yeah, it does a disservice to every provider, because now, just like always, you know, we're doing these high acuity, low occurrence skills, you know, and assessments on these patients that we never see, never train, but we get 4 hours of lecture on, and we're expected, boom, done. You're great.
Boom.
Boom. You know?
You told me not to do it, but here you are doing it.
I know. I'm sorry. You actually said a boom earlier. I let it go.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Also, like, to a certain extent, we have to own that. If I know that my weakest point is peds, you know damn well that that is what I'm going to be researching for weeks.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that coming out of EMS, peds was my weakest point because you don't get exposed to them the way you do. My hospital that I work at, thankfully, we don't do a ton of peds, but, like, we've had super sick patients with RSV season. And at the end of the day, it is my responsibility to know or not know that shit.
No, that's 100% fair. I mean, you know, I tell my EMT students all the times, the one that, you know, if you're a parent, if you're an aunt, an uncle, or whatever, hey, I can't bring the kids into class, but that doesn't mean that you can't practice on them at home.
Right.
Have them lay down, act like they're sick, and talk to them, assess them, practice, take their vital signs, right? Get comfortable in their environment.
Right.
So now Gerard the pessimist is going to talk.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I thought the response would have been like, so where was the optimist? Okay, anyway.
I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking, but you know.
Yeah. So, and here's, I know it's kind of a saying that, you know, I use from time to time, you know, where, you know, your acquaintances are going to tell you what you want to hear. Your friends are going to tell you what you don't want to hear. So I'm going to tell all my friends out there, another fighter jet, son of a bitch. I'm going to tell all my friends out there.
Hold on. Are you sure that they're not just scoping out your house?
What you don't want to hear. They might be. Wouldn't that be great? Fucking define irony. All right. Anyway, I digressed. So here's what we as an industry don't want to hear. And that is, because we don't set and hold to standards, and we don't hold people accountability for their performance, we have people who show up, do everything and anything they can do to keep from going on a call. They'll pretend they didn't hear a radio. They'll go out to get something and you'll never see their truck again, and they won't answer up. And okay, we missed it, or no, I was in the restaurant. Can you guys get that for us? You know, all the fucking lame bullshit excuses. You know, the same reason why they come to work and they don't fucking know how to do dishes or anything like that.
Yep.
It's a bunch of lazy motherfuckers that don't want to work for a paycheck.
Well, and they get away with it because
your
we high acuity, low frequency, exactly, is only happening once in a blue moon. So if I don't know what I'm doing on one call, chances are I'm not going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, because I'm not held to a standard.
Right.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not being held to a standard. Nurses, you guys are kind of held to a standard. I mean, and not to mention, but your whole dynamic in a hospital is you can't avoid your patients. You're going to see them, and they're going to see you.
Right.
You know what I
mean?
you
are held to a standard. I mean, I have to complete X amount of CMEs, or they call them CEUs. I have to do X amount a month, and I can choose what they are. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Some of them are mandated, some of them are not. But in EMS, I could do all of my recert in 1 month before I send in my recert. They don't give a fuck. Nobody's looking at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you could do it early, right after your recert, and then not do it again for 3 years.
Or do
Bingo.
it again at the end, so now you're getting like 6 years with no education. How
Right.
unsafe is that?
Yeah. And that's the scary
Isn't
part.
it though?
You know?
Yeah.
It truly is a crazy dynamic, you know,
It's,
how
and now the big thing is it's all online.
yeah.
So so here, let me method act for a second.
Hold on. Hey, hold on. We're trying to plug the online CMEs. Don't down them.
Play, volume all the way down. Xbox. Oh, it's done. Next. Xbox. Oh, look at that. In my shift of 12 hours where I've avoided work for 8 of them and played Xbox all day, I did 8 hours of CMEs.
I agree.
Yep.
So I think that,
And you tell me that ain't what's happening?
and I'm going to tell
Please.
you, how annoyed are we all at when you have to sit there and change the video every minute on a CME online? Obnoxious. I hate it. However, it forces me to sit here to pay attention to it.
Yep.
So like nursing is all online as well. You can get all of your CME credits online. But all of them are, oh, it's 40-second video, then go to the next one. Well, it won't
Right.
go to the next one until you click it.
Right.
That's
Right.
where I think they're doing it right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
even though I don't give a shit about foundations of safety or whatever the fuck I just watched, I'm still sitting here paying attention because I want to know when I can click to that next video.
No, you're absolutely right. So going off of the CMEs and stuff, is there something that I kind of want to transition into the medical aspect of things, and I think the big thing that my take home would be is just, you know, the focus on respiratory and hypoxia for kids, right? I think a lot of people tend to forget how much hypoxia and oxygenation really affect kids, right? And, you know, cardiac arrests in kids almost
Are
always
respiratory driven.
are respiratory and hypoxia driven. You fix the hypoxia, you probably will get ROSC, right? They don't have sick hearts. The same thing goes with, you know, kids that are really sick. They typically will also be hypoxic, right? You'll start to see that hypoxic change on them. So I think, you know, knowing why the AHA has you do, you know, 30-2 for single rescuer, but 15-2 for dual rescuer, being that you can do just as many compressions, but you can get more ventilations in the same time period. That's useful information, right? You know, look at your kids for how they're oxygenating, what their color is, if they're modeled or not, you know, what their mental status is, what their SpO2 is, what their heart rate is, right?
Yeah.
Hypoxia drives heart rate in kids. So if they're bradycardic, they're probably hypoxic as well, right? So that's something that a CFR can fix. That's something that an EMT can fix. You don't need a big bad paramedic to intubate them to possibly fix that. At times you would, but I think the BLS providers also need to realize, like, hey, we can fix this if we see it. Is there anything that you guys can kind of think medically that you kind of want to drive the nail and the point home with before we end here today?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and this is firsthand experience, you know, don't skimp on your assessment of a child.
For sure.
No matter what mom says, no matter what dad says, no matter what grandmom says, no matter what anybody says about the child's history, about whatever, you take it into account. Okay, well, healthy kid, good, nice to know. But you can't say, oh, healthy, no problems. Okay, well, all right, well, let's just go take a little ride to the hospital and we'll let somebody else figure it out. Okay? Great if you're, you know, a fireman and you're 5 minutes from a hospital and, you know, you can get away with it, whatever. You know, a little bit different if you're, you know, an hour and change from where you got to go.
Right.
You know, and I say this, like I said, firsthand experience. It was a under 2 years old, and mom was, oh, he's healthy, everything's good. In fact, on the way there, it was, dispatched as unresponsive. And I put the helicopter in the air. And we get there, and the kid's very lethargic. And after talking with mom and looking at the kid and going through a few things and listening to the whole story, I called off the helicopter and said, let's go take this on the ground. And since he doesn't watch, well, I won't use the name, but somebody we know came with me as a second pair of hands. And yeah, putting our heads together. And I said, let's go through the history. What did mom say, was doing? Well, the kid usually drinks his juice, likes his juice, stuff like that. And today he was drinking his juice all day. He wasn't feeling really good. So, he just was very thirsty. So I just kept giving him his juice, and he kept drinking his juice. And then he started passing out and was like,
what was his blood sugar?
Rapidly breathing. And oh my goodness, what a question. Because that's when he and I said, let's check that BG before we get out of here. And sure enough, what's the medical history of the kid? Perfectly healthy. There was some seizure activity problem before that. Mom thought it was a seizure. And no seizure history, no nothing, no, perfectly healthy kid. Blood sugar was 385.
Until he gets that diagnosis of diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Blood sugar was 385.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And this was an under 2 child.
That's nuts.
I think my takeaway, I'm going to piggyback on your, Gerard, is that you walk into these scenes and parents are like, oh, they're healthy. And you think, I have a clean slate. These people don't have clogged arteries from McDonald's yet. Right. They have nothing, but you have to think of it as they're not diagnosed yet.
Bingo.
So keep all of these things running in your mind. And do I think that this child that has chest pain has ACS? No, probably not. I think that, there's a lot of issues that happen with kids that are diagnosed early, and that's great. And parents will probably know about that, but also things pop up. You get diagnosed with the majority of your childhood illnesses in your first 7 years or something. Mm-hmm. You have to remember that. Do good assessments.
And doctors miss things.
And
100% all the time. They're only seeing the patient for 15 minutes of their life.
Yeah.
15 minutes. That's all an appointment is. Maybe 30. Listen to what the parents have to say and do your goddamn assessments.
Yeah. Definitely. And like I said, with that particular one, I'm just using it as an example because it always sticks out at me, because according to everyone and their mother, that's a healthy child.
Of course, because they don't have a diagnosis yet. The doctor says, they're fine.
Right.
They're growing fine. Their weight is fine.
And as long as he's eating, regularly and drinking his juice whenever he wants, and it's fine. But now you're drinking juice all day long for the first time.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And I think, you
got a problem.
Right. And one of the last things I kind of want to leave people thinking about is, Gerard, you kind of alluded to it earlier when you said, there's always that hyped up stigma of kids are the worst. Kids are going to affect me more if I have kids and stuff like that.
Oh, I've heard that so many fucking times.
And I'll tell you, I want to tell people from firsthand experience, I think kids can be some of the most emotional calls that you can be on as human beings, but also the most rewarding emotional calls that you can be on. And again, firsthand experience. I remember early in my career, I was working in a commercial agency in a city, and I just happened to go to a car accident, and there were a couple kids in the car along with mom and dad, and the older child was really banged up. Ended up taking them to the trauma center, and there was a younger sister, and the commercial company never had like stuffed animals or toys or anything in their truck, so I used to carry one in like a little Beanie Baby type size thing. I used to put it in my bag and leave it in the truck. And if I needed it, I would take it and then go to this dollar store and buy a new one. And so this kid, we, take the older kid to the trauma center. The younger kid goes along with us. And, they were freaking out because, again, they're scared. They had, some minor cuts and bruises here and there. They were bleeding from the head a little bit. We do all our stuff. I give the younger sister my little stuffed animal. Okay, see you later, goodbye. I don't have kids. I'm, single at the time. 2 weeks go by. I'm at the same hospital doing an interfacility transport out of the floor. Next thing I know, I see that same kid walk out of one of the rooms because they were visiting their older sibling, still carrying that little beanie baby thing that I gave them 2 weeks prior. I couldn't tell you how much that made me feel good about doing a atrocious call. Like, it could have totally foobarred everybody.
Yeah.
But it's the little wins that kids give you. And I think people lose sight of that,
Yes.
like, I couldn't tell you how many people said, oh, well, how was that ped call now that you're a dad? And I'm like, no different than any other ped call. I'm not going to think that spontaneously my kid's going to get into a car wreck or spontaneously my kid's going to die. But you know what? I might call them and be like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Or give them a hug when I get home like I always do. But it feels better. But I don't, necessarily equate like my kid's going to have doom and gloom because someone else is due. I think that's a very immature way of looking at the world.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, as far as like, rewarding calls, I mean, that one was very rewarding because the kid was, completely just lethargic when I got to him. And when we wheeled him into the pediatric hospital, he was gripping my hand and crying up a storm because I had ran a good amount of fluid through him. And, he started, the magic fluid kind of woke him up a little bit.
Yep.
And the other, another one that always stands out was me and Justin. And this kind of brings me to another little lesson that I think other people might benefit from. And that is, when you're transporting and you've got a critical child and you are working really hard to get this kid to the hospital in better shape than you found him, but you have mom and another sibling with you. You have to manage them and you have to manage yourself and the kid you're trying to freaking work on. And it was another way. The kid was, unresponsive, but he was weird. He would wake up, he'd projectile puke and then pass back out after he screamed his head off for about a minute. And then, and we have little, the siblings up in the front seat as we're leaving the scene, and mom's across from me on the other bench seat. And, I'm trying to get an IV in this kid in between the bouts of him being conscious and being unconscious. And, I get the IV in and start getting some fluids going, a little Zofran to keep him from, projectile puking again. And, and I'm talking with mom and telling her every little thing I'm doing because you can see she's just like ready to fucking explode.
Yep.
And I'm saying every little thing I did was fully explained to her, nice, calm tone. When I realized the kid, wasn't responding for a longer duration, I kind of just wanted to take it easy at first, and then that's when I yelled up front and I said, "Hey, go ahead and light him up." And he goes, "P1?" I said, "Yeah, go for it." And I said, "Don't take it easy," And mom goes, "What? What are you doing?" Oh my God! Like her fucking eyes just bugged out, and like immediately it was just like I was like, "Oh no, it's okay. The kid's in the front seat. What kid doesn't want to be in an ambulance without the fucking lights on? Come on."
Right.
Nice
recovery. Nice
save. Count it. So fast forward 2 weeks or so, and there's a knock at the station door. And the door opens. And maybe, I guess I can't because of HIPAA and all that shit. But because I ended up taking a picture with the kid. But there's mom, there's the sibling, there's the kid. They walk in with a big box of Bella Napoli.
Oh, sold.
Cookies, cannolis, all that good shit.
Nice.
And a nice big card that was handmade with a picture of the kid on the front doing a Superman pose. And, said, thank you. Not all the heroes wear capes. And the little girl signed a thank you for saving my brother. And my fucking heart's melting. And I got, I'm getting verklempt. And, my allergies are, starting to act up a little bit. I might have to take a Benadryl. And, I got bad allergies, And mom goes, oh, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you being so calm, I would have freaked out. And she's like, you were just so calm, and it had such an effect on me. And I was like, so me being me, I freaking peeled the curtain back for her. I said, ma'am, I'll be honest with you. I was shitting my pants. And she went, what, really? And of course, me being me and the way I talk, I said, oh yeah, they're still looking for the seat cushion I was sitting on.
I'm sure.
I gotta work on that.
I'm sure she's like, let me take that card back.
She's like, you never would have known it. And I was like, well, thank you. And he wanted to take a picture with us. So me and Justin got together. We all took a picture together. And all that stuff. That's the kind of shit that when I think about that, I'm like, wow, I love my job. You know?
Yeah, it's.
But even if they don't come back to the station, like, you have to think that this moment is going to stick with the people that are there forever.
Absolutely.
Like, even the parents that are shitting themselves over a kid that has a fever that's really not that sick, they're terrified. You are the light at the end of the tunnel for them.
And I have to
be the light.
And I'll tell you, it doesn't always just stick with mom, dad, or family. It sticks with the kid.
Yeah.
If the kid is
100%.
old enough to remember it, right? So so my oldest, again, I started the show off telling him about his, croup asthma attack thing, right? He went in an ambulance. He had one of the paramedics and that I've known for almost all of my career, EMTs that I've known for a good portion of my career, and they were like, "Yep," Jess went with him. And I was like, yep, whenever you guys need me to come pick you up, I'll come pick you up with the little one because he was still in diapers. And I couldn't tell you, to this day, he remembers the ride. He remembers the EMT and the paramedic that was with him. He doesn't remember their names, but he remembers, the two female, EMT paramedics. He remembers them giving him something for, to breathe. And he remembers his entire hospital stay. And, he wasn't super old. He was probably 4 or 5-ish at the time. But he remembers it vividly. So it's not only that you're making this great experience for the parents, but you're also making this great experience for the kids who will inevitably remember it. And I'll tell you, I couldn't, if my youngest got sick now and he needed to, go in an ambulance, I bet his big brother would be like, hey, dude, it's going to be fine. I did that already. Look at me. Right? Yeah. You got to think about those things. It comes back to, it
matters.
It matters. Every way it matters, I think that's a great place to leave it here.
Oh, I was going to bring us down.
Oh, don't bring us down.
No, Gerard.
Oh, I was going to bring us down a notch.
No,
oh, my
you're
goodness. Because I was thinking of, I was thinking of something.
Stop right there.
Yeah.
That's very important, but.
I might just mute
always
you.
end pediatrics on a high call.
Yeah, exactly. Put it in a meme.
I don't know, man. It's important. It's important shit, though. It's important shit. Maybe I'll have to put it in a meme. No, it's too big for a meme, but that's all right. I'll just keep it to myself. Everybody else, if you're all sitting there going, "What the fuck?" Just remember, they said fucking no good. I can't tell you. But go ahead. Donuts. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you'd like more information on the podcast or to send us a call to review, visit medicmaterials.com/podcast. To learn more information, like us on Facebook at Medic Materials EDU, or watch our weekly instructional videos on the Medic Materials YouTube channel.